Good. Oops, let me go and turn that down real quick. I have my music going on, so the background still. Good Saturday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic Saturday. I am your meteorologist, Peterson. Let's go and talk about the weather for your Saturday evening going into your future. But starting off, what are we going to talk about for tonight? Obviously, we are going to talk about obviously the cool down that's about to happen throughout the state. Cool down that we're about to get into, especially as we get into tomorrow. And tomorrow pretty much will be kind of like the last like hot slash warm day. And then Monday will come along and we'll get into that. Also, we're going to talk about our scattered to isolated shower activity, our low flood risk as you go into tonight into tomorrow. And other than that, pretty much the most. Also, the tropics as well. Tropics is also another area that we're going to talk about as well. If you have not hit the like button or the subscribe button yet, make sure you go in and do so. We are at 583, and I actually I actually have a couple of channels that are actually subscribed to my channel. I actually deleted them, so they actually are no longer subscribed to the channel anymore. So that's why I kind of dropped a couple. But we're 17 away. 17 away from that main goal of 600 subscribers. Let's go on now and look at our rainfall, though, if in terms of the state for right now. We do, in fact, have some rainfall going on over here from McCall over into Clio, Blenheim, going into Bennettsville, Society Hill, Quinby, Florence, Ruby, Bishopville, going over into Eastover, St. Matthews, and then also over here near Ridgeway and Elgin. We have rainfall in those areas. Rainfall also over here near Edgefield, Aiken, Burnett Town as well. And then we also do have some rainfall going on in just near like the Rock Hill / Charlotte area. What's going on throughout the entire U.S.? We have rainfall going on in Maine, as well as over here inside of Connecticut, Rhode Island, going into Massachusetts, New York City getting in on some of that rainfall. New Jersey is. Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida getting in on that rainfall. Texas is as well. Going into the Four Corners region, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and then over here inside of the Midwest and the northern Midwest from Minnesota down into Michigan and the Great Lakes region. Now, if we go on to our cloud cover, we do in fact have some heavy cloud cover moving through the upstate right now. Same thing with the Midlands, and then even inside of the low country, we have some cloud cover moving throughout those regions. Also, PD, Grand Strand, not out of the range either. They're definitely the clearest area right now is definitely eastern Charleston County going into parts of Georgetown County, maybe even Williamsburg as well. But for the most part, we're mostly cloudy here. Cloud cover for the future. As we push this forward, you can see that as the night progresses, that cloud cover will continue to uptick, and we will mostly be clouded up as we go into tomorrow morning. Then as you go into tomorrow afternoon / evening, that cloud cover on the western side will honestly start to go down a little bit. We'll start to get maybe a little bit more clear areas over there in the west, but parts in the eastern side, that low country, that PD, that Grand Strand area is still cloudy, and even parts of the upstate as well. The very northern upstate still might have some cloud cover up there as well. Current temperatures right now, 78 in Columbia as well as 80 in Orangeburg, 77 in Somerville, 78 in Charleston, 76 inside of Georgetown, and 78 in Murrells Inlet, 78 also inside of Myrtle Beach, and 77 in Aiken, 78 in North Myrtle Beach. We also have 79 in Florence, 73 in Lancaster as well as Rock Hill, 74 in York, in Spartanburg, and Greenville, 75 in Clemson and Gaffney, and 74 in Anderson. For your low temperatures for tonight, 69 in Anderson as well as 67 in Greenville, 68 in Spartanburg, and 68 also inside of Rock Hill. We also do have 67 in Winsboro, 71 in Columbia, 71 in Orangeburg, Sumter, Florence, 70 in Dillon, 73 in Myrtle Beach, and 70 in Georgetown, 71 in Moncks Corner, 74 Charleston, 75 in Hilton Head Island, and 70 in Barnwell, 69 in Aiken, and even around 70. Pretty much, I believe that's near just the south of Aiken going into Barnwell and then over in that southern Midland area. For your rainfall, there is a good amount of rainfall that's possible. 100th of an inch to a tenth of an inch goes from Spartanburg into Lawrence, Rock Hill, Chirac, and then Winsboro. All have 100th of an inch to a tenth of an inch, and a tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch goes for Greenwood, for Newberry, for Columbia, even for Orangeburg, and some other regions that may not be listed, but it is indeed possible. Quarter of an inch to a half an inch possible for Kingstree going into Charleston and Georgetown, Myrtle Beach. And then we also have around a half an inch to an inch possible for some other regions, maybe even an inch to an inch and a half possible for some other regions like Williamsburg going into Georgetown, going over into the very western upstate, not the upstate, but the low country as well. The crazy score for tonight, I believe we are at a 30. From the last time that I saw it, it was a 30. I believe I got it updated. Yes, I do. So it was a 30. Just wanted to make sure that it was correct real quick before I said for sure. But I remembered me doing it, but I just wanted to make sure. It is a 30 though. And it is inside of the mild category, obviously, because it's cloudy out right now. And the cloud will increase as the night progresses. But also, not only is that cloud cover a concern, but also just the fact that there still is some isolated shower activity going on, some potentially even scattered, and then even a little flood risk is going on as well. So again, with all these factors, it gets up to a 30. In terms of severe weather, there is no severe weather that is expected for tonight. The severe weather threat has gone down, and it's only just a thunderstorm risk. Goes from the very southern upstate going down into all the Midlands, all of the PD region, even going to the northern low country. Tomorrow, thunderstorms go on for the central Midlands from Columbia, Aiken, Florence, Sumter, all the way down towards the coastal regions, including the entire low country, all the PD, all the Grand Strand, obviously. Everyone in those regions have a chance for a thunderstorm. And then on Monday, September the 8th, thunderstorms are possible down there near Beaufort, Hilton Head Island, and just in that general vicinity. As we move on to excessive rainfall, we do in fact have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall that's up here for the upstate of South Carolina, up here inside of Greenville, inside of Seneca, Spartanburg, Gaffney, York, up into Lancaster and Winsboro. We also do have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall going on to Newberry, to Greenwood, due west, and that is for isolated flash flooding. Now, that does not mean that obviously that the threat is not there, because it is, and you still have to be paying attention to it for tonight. Tomorrow, we do have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall that goes again from Ridgeland to Beaufort to Hilton Head Island, all the way through most of the low country from Walterboro to Ridgeville to Somerville to Latson to all the way into downtown Charleston, and then all the beaches along the low country as well, and even up here inside of the Grand Strand. Myrtle Beach is included, Carolina Forest, Conway, Johnsonville, Hemingway, Jamestown, Georgetown, and all these places that are inside the dark green that I may not have called out specifically has an isolated chance for some flash flooding. It's low, but it's there. And again, this is for tomorrow, Sunday. Everything else, as we move through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we look good. So what are the models looking like here? You can see the times in the top right corner of your screen. Make sure that you pay attention to that as we move through. As we push this forward, you can see that the rainfall continues all the way to around 1, 2, 3 a.m. But once you get to around 4 or 5 a.m., that's when things start to really go down, and we really start to get a lot drier. As we continue through into the early/late morning, even the early afternoon, it really seems to stay mostly dry. Now, if you continue even further into the future, around 2, 3 p.m., some of that shower and thunderstorm activity starting to pop up in the low country, in the PD region, and it really starts to get going by around 4, 5 p.m., where you're having thunderstorms move through. And they're going to try to make their way over towards the coastal regions, but some will try to maybe rebound a little bit and get back into the Midlands, get back into the inner PD region, and you're seeing a lot of rainfall from this, and this is why we have that chance for excessive rainfall tomorrow. Some of these storms will be possibly slow moving, and then not only that, but they might go over those same regions just over and over again. Luckily, though, around 1, 2, 3 a.m., things start to calm down, but will it be enough to completely get rid of the moisture? I mean, it seems by around 7 a.m., we're starting off with more moisture again on Monday as shower activity goes on, but I'm not really seeing anything too severe or just anything too bad for that morning or even early afternoon. So that's it for the short term. What's going on for the long term, though? Obviously, after that's all said and done, we're going to have a lot of coastal activity, some coastal activity going on. And then once we get to around September the 11th, things start to really calm down a lot. And we're not seeing rainfall throughout a good part of the state for a little while. Yes, like I said, the coastal region definitely will still have that rainfall chance, but everyone else seems to be mostly dry as we have some moisture that may try to move its way in. We have a low pressure here, September the 19th, but once we get to September the 19th, we really can't talk about specifics. We can only really just look at the patterns and what's going on. And you have a little low pressure that tries to get going as it moves its way up in near like North Carolina, but it causes us some rainfall, potentially some flooding concerns. But again, that's over 300 hours. High pressure takes over a little bit further into September, but our dry stretch that I've been talking about for the past couple of days now seems to be really going into effect from probably around that September the 11th time frame going all the way down into around like September the 18th. So that good week stretch right there from next week, Thursday, going into next week, or the week after next week, Thursday. Because it starts off, I mean, even as early as around like September the 10th, maybe even the 9th, it could start to get dry. Now, does this mean that we won't receive any rainfall? Absolutely not. Areas will definitely receive rainfall, and this is still a low resolution model, meaning that it's not going to get everything, but we're just looking at patterns here. What about the temperatures, though? Obviously, we are about to have a cold front that moves through, especially as we go into tomorrow. Look at this. Cold air moves in, cold as the cold front sits here, and the warm air builds back, kind of quickly. Kind of builds back a little quickly. You can see it's kind of have like a little battle zone here between the cold front and the warm tropical moisture. And the cold air, it tries to push it back, and it gets there relatively. But once you get back into around like September the 15th, that warm air tries to build right back, and it pushes it away. And then for the most part, we start to get some more warm air. But as we get later into September, another strong cold front is possibly going to move through as we get later into September, maybe September 24th, 25th-ish, somewhere around that time frame. So what's going on in terms of just our shaded temperatures? And when I say shaded, I mean actual temperatures. Temperatures in terms of highs are going to be getting back down into the high 70s, low 80s again as we move into early next week, I should say. And we're going to get back to the 90s, but for now, seems like we're going to start to see temperatures stay in like those low 80, mid 80 range. And then we'll get back to those 90s probably a bit later into September. And it gets back around 92, 93, 94-ish potentially. So a cold front moving through later will bring us some cool air starting most likely on Monday. And so that's all for the temperatures. I just wanted to show that real quick, showing that cold air is indeed on the way, especially for the people that want the cold air. Let me see real quick if I'm missing anything else before we go on and talk about the tropics. Because we have a pretty big update when it comes to the tropics. Talked about the cold front, talked about the flood risk, the temperatures, the scattered shower activity. It's going to be muggy on Sunday, obviously still, and it will be a little bit breezy on Monday and Tuesday, it seems. But that's the only thing that I see that maybe that's possibly that I missed. Now let's go on and look at our tropics. We do in fact have an area here that has now pretty much gone down. It's pretty much died. To make it lightly, it pretty much died. As there is indeed no chance for this thing to form into a hurricane. There is zero shot for this thing to form into a hurricane. And you can see right here, a tropical wave over the central tropical Atlantic is producing a limited amount of shower activity. Development of the system is not expected while the system moves west at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So the system that we were watching for, mind you, this is the system that had the 90% chance of forming. A 90% chance of forming, and it has now gone down to a 0% chance of forming. Let's just go in and get a clap for that one. So again, this is the one with the 90% chance that we were pretty much expecting to form. It wasn't 100%, so we weren't expecting it, but it was very, very likely to form, and it completely just died. And so what went wrong? Dry air took over it, and it just pretty much killed it off. Obviously, the tropics, they need that moisture. They need that kind of like that muggy condition, but it got too dry for it. And that dry air infiltrated it, got inside of it, and then kind of just cut it off. And so that's one thing that I did want to say. I talked about it this morning. Shout out to the people who did watch the late morning forecast update this morning. But still, I did talk about it because I said that even though it said it had a 90% chance, and when we say very likely, you have to really take that into account. Like, if you say there's a 10% chance of rainfall, you really could get some rainfall. Even though it's a 90% chance that you don't get any rainfall, there's still that 10%. And so you have to take that 10% chance very seriously, even if especially if it's like severe weather. When I say there's a 5% chance of damaging winds or a 5% chance for flash flooding, you have to take that seriously as well, because 5% verify. And so this is exactly what happened with this one. We had a 10% chance to that it didn't form, and it didn't. That 10% took over, and it never formed at all. So just make sure that you never underestimate even small percentages when it comes to weather like this. But that's it for the tropics. Obviously, nothing else really that we're watching for. Nothing else that they're really highlighting for now. So let's go on and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, we have Mr. Chris, who starts off and says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a great day. Remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with all of the people that you know. Help get the information out to those who need it." He's absolutely correct. We've had 11 people tune in so far. We only have 7 likes. So 4 people decided to show up, not hit the like button, but obviously I can't force anybody to. But it's a lot better in terms of the difference, in terms of how many people didn't hit the like button. Definitely a lot better, because some days we have 30 people and only like 7 likes. So today definitely was better. We definitely have getting more likes though. My Aunt Lula then says, good evening, everyone. Nephew, I hope everything is going well with you. All is going well with me. Mr. Chris comes back and says, had a hot day here in Mutts Corner. A few passing clouds, but nothing too big. Fantastic here. Thank you so much for that weather update. My Aunt Shirley says, good evening and blessings to all. Thank you so much for that. Good evening to you. Trail says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. And then my Nana says, hi, Jay. I did good today. Thanks for being the smartest young man that you have developed into. The best weatherman ever. Love you much. Thanks again. Love you as well. And thank you so much for that message. Let me give you a round of applause real quick for that. And so that's all. If you want to send something inside the chat, you can, but you have to be subscribed to the channel. And I believe there's like a little bit of a weight to it, so if you're not subscribed, you probably won't be able to while I'm live, but I will come back to it after the stream and after I'm done talking. But let's go on now and load up the Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Duncan, Oklahoma forecast because we have people from those areas that watch almost every single night. And so that's the reason why we go on and talk about those locations if you did not know. But starting off with Raleigh first. Let me go on and get it on your screen right now. You can see right here that it says for Raleigh you have low temperatures tonight at 68, high temperatures tomorrow at 76, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 61. You do in fact have a chance of showers tonight, and then you have a slight chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. No precipitation is expected tomorrow night though, so you are good there. For excessive rainfall, you do actually have a chance for some tonight, which is actually interesting, but you're like right in that area, like kind of like a little sliver of kind of like an excessive rainfall threat tonight. Nothing for tomorrow, and just as you move through the next 5 days, you're not expecting anything there. Now for severe weather, you actually, I believe you do not have a threat. No, you do not have a threat for any sort of severe weather. So you're good in terms of excessive rainfall. You're good in terms of severe weather. Let's go on now and talk about Philadelphia. With low temperatures tonight seeming to be around 62. You have high temperatures tomorrow at 73, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 54. Showers are likely, or honestly expected, just as you move through tonight. Chance of showers tomorrow, and then no precipitation is expected at all tomorrow night. For excessive rainfall, you do not have a threat for any sort of excessive rainfall for the next 5 days. And then obviously for that severe weather, you actually do have a chance for some severe weather that has now pretty much passed by this point, or at least, yeah, it has passed by this point. So you had a chance for severe weather earlier, but I believe that threat has pretty much gone away. And there is no longer really any shot for any sort of severe weather. So you're good in terms of both. And then the final location that we talk about, obviously, being Duncan, Oklahoma. And with Duncan, you have low temperatures tonight at 59, high temperatures tomorrow at 81, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 60. There is no precipitation that is expected at all. No precipitation that is expected at all. And for severe weather, you do not have any severe weather that is expected. And then in terms of excessive rainfall, no excessive rainfall is expected either. So you're good. And so for pretty much all three locations, we're good in terms of severe weather. We're all good inside in for excessive rainfall as well. And that's going to wrap this up. So again, nothing else. I don't see anything else inside of the chat. What's going on throughout the entire U.S.? Scattered damaging winds, isolated severe hail, and a brief tornado or two are possible from the upper Ohio to Tennessee valleys during the late afternoon and evening, which is past. Across the southwest, monsoonal moisture will continue to bring heavy rainfall and a threat for isolated to scattered flash flooding through the rest of tonight. We're also going to get some frost up there inside of North Dakota, South Dakota, northern Iowa, and Minnesota. Even some freezing possible over there inside of northern Minnesota. Air quality alerts go out for eastern Washington as well as northern Idaho and western Montana, going into Wyoming and northwestern Colorado. And then red flag warning for some dangerous fire weather for central Washington state going into southwestern Oregon. And that is all that I can see that I really need to discuss. Top fans for tonight, Mr. Chris was at number 1. My Aunt Shirley was at number 2, and then Trail was at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top 3, obviously you have to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you have not already, obviously, and then also be active inside the chat and be here early. That is all that I have, though. I don't see anything else inside the chat, so I will be back tomorrow morning with your Sunday morning forecast update. Hopefully, everyone has a fantastic rest of your Saturday evening.